Welcome. We've got day 10 of our algebra final exam review. So if we take a look today, our goal, given a quadratic equation in standard form or vertex form, you will be able to graph the parabola and determine the vertex. All right, so let's go ahead. We're going to jump right into it. So day 10 notes, graphing parabolas and vertex form of parabolas. So this vertex form, this is actually going to be something that's a little bit new for us today. All right, so here we go. Here are your steps for graphing quadratics. Okay, the first thing we have to do is find the axes of symmetry. And remember, the formula for that axis of symmetry is x equals negative b all over 2 times a. All right, once you find your axis of symmetry, you're going to create a table of values by using your calculator. Make sure you put your axis of symmetry in the middle. We go 3 values above, 3 values below. Then we plot our points and draw. So let's go ahead and let's take a look. So example number 1, graph and label the function f of x equals negative x squared plus 4x minus 3 if f of x equals y. So we're going to change this f of x, so we're just going to make it a y. Now if I take a look here, my x is being squared. That means the shape of this is going to be a parabola. So the first thing we have to do is find our axes of symmetry. So x equals, so negative b, so negative, my b value is 4. All over 2 times a. My a is the number in front of the x squared. In this case, it's a negative 1. So that gives us negative 4 over negative 2, which then gives us a positive 2. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to go to my table of values. I'm going to take this equation of the axis of symmetry, and that's going to be my middle of my table. And then I go 3 values below and 3 values above. Now I'm going to let the calculator do the hard work for me. So I'm going to go to y equals, I'm going to type in my equation there, and then I'm going to go to second table. Now I want my table to match the table that I just came up with. So I'm going to go down, and now I have negative 1 to 5 for my x's, and if you look at your y's, we have that nice symmetry. So negative 8, negative 8, negative 3, negative 3, 0, 0. So the only number that's different is that vertex in the middle. So I'm going to write these down. So this number here, this is my vertex, also known as your turning point. All right, so now we're going to go off to the side, and we're going to go to the graph, and let's go ahead and let's actually graph this. So negative 1, negative 8, 0, negative 3, 1, 0, 2, 1, and then back down the parabola. Now we're going to do our best to connect to those points with a nice curve. And then at one of the arrows, we make sure that we write the equation. And we've got it. Oops. Move that up, and then you can see we've got it. All right, so we have 2 follow-up questions. The first one says, what is the turning point? So the turning point is your vertex. It's where you stop increasing and you start decreasing. So this is going to be the point 2, 1. All right, next says, is the turning point a maximum or a minimum? In this case, it's the top point, so it is going to be a maximum. All right, and that's our review on graphing parabolas. So now let's flip the page and let's take a look at that vertex form of parabolas. All right, so when we take a look at vertex form, here it is. Vertex form, y equals x minus h squared plus k, where hk is the vertex point. So this h just goes into the equation, and so does the k. Now this is still going to be a parabola because if you look carefully, your x is being squared. So this is still a parabola. All right, so let's go ahead and let's take a look at our first 2 examples. Write the equation of the parabola if its vertex is 5, 6. So y equals x minus h squared plus k. So now we're going to plug it in. The 5 is our h, the k is our 6. So y equals x minus 5 squared plus 6. And that's all you have to do. You've just written the equation. Now let's look carefully here. So our vertex was a positive 5, but in the equation it's a negative 5. The k value is positive 6, and it's a positive 6. So we have to remember, just like when we're factoring and solving quadratics, whenever something is in the parentheses, you have to change the sign. So let's go ahead and let's try example 2. What is the vertex of the parabola with the equation given? All right, so we know this is a parabola because our x is being squared. It's in vertex form, so I'm going to take the 4. Since I'm taking it out of parentheses, I'm going to change its sign. So since it's a -4, now it becomes a +4. In the k, there's no parentheses there, so it stays a 5. So remember, just for the x, you have to change the sign. All right, so let's go ahead and try number 1. All right, so pause the video, try it on your own. All right, so let's take a look, see how you did. So when we plug it in, we get x minus 3 squared plus -5, but a positive negative, I'm going to change that to just a regular negative, and we have our final answer. Okay, next, let's take a look at number 2. What is the vertex of the parabola with the equation given? So take a moment and try that out. All right, so remember, you have to change the sign, so it becomes -6, and the -2 stays -2, and you've got your vertex. Okay, next up, question number 3. Given the function f of x equals -x squared plus 8x plus 9, state whether the vertex represents a maximum or a minimum point for the function. Explain your answer. All right, so let's go ahead and let's double check here. So I'm going to go to my y equals. I want to see what this looks like. So I'm going to type it in, and then I'm going to go to second graph. Oops, actually we're just going to hit graph. And I see my function's going all the way up and all the way down. So I can't even see my top point. But I know that it's going to go all the way up and then all the way down. So this is going to be the shape of my parabola. So is the vertex going to be a maximum or a minimum? In this case, it's going to be a maximum. Now we have to explain our answer. Remember, whenever you hear the word explain or justify, you have to write the word because. And I'm going to write the equation is a parabola. Opening downward. Which makes the parabola have a point at the top, which is your maximum. Okay, and you could explain it in your own words, but you have to make sure you're explaining it's opening downward and that you have a point at the top. If you draw a picture, that can also help your explanation. All right, last part, it says, which expression represents the equation above in vertex form? Ooh, so we want to take this equation and see which one matches. Well, I'm going to make this easy on myself. I already have the equation in there. So what I'm going to do now, since this is multiple choice, I'm going to start plugging these in, and I'm going to see which one of these matches my first equation. So I'm going to go to y2, and let's type it in. So x plus 4 parentheses squared minus 25. Now I'm going to go to my table of values. Let's see. Do my y columns match? Nope, they don't, so it can't be choice 1. I'm going to go back to y equals. Oops, I wanted to keep that one in there. So -x squared plus 8x plus 9. I want to delete the second one, and now I'm going to write in negative parentheses, x minus 4 parentheses squared plus 25. And then I go to graph. Now if I take a look, -56, and we look, all of our y values match. So that would be the correct choice. All right, ladies and gentlemen, our goal for today. Given a quadratic, you will be able to graph it and determine the vertex. And that's exactly what we just practiced. I'll see you all in class tomorrow.